One of the other things that I really like about, some people are sort of down on Honda because I guess they're sort of, they have a reputation of being very mass produced and there's a lot of them and stuff. But the thing that I really like about this bike that I found since I've owned it is that there's a ton of great accessories available for the bike. And I think definitely if you are a new rider and you purchase a bike, there's definitely going to be a few accessories that I know I can recommend in particular. So if we walk around the bike and I start, and I'll show you some of the accessories that I think are really good to have. So starting with this is a stand, and I think this is definitely what I found to be a really important accessory to have with a motorcycle, because a lot of the things that you're going to want to do on the bike will require the bike to have the weight of the bike centered, then also to have the weight off the rear wheel. So for example, one thing that I've learned and that you're going to want to do, probably every, I guess, like 200 to 300 miles is clean your chain, right? So I'm due for my first chain cleaning on this bike. And when you have a stand like this, you can put the bike in neutral and you can just, spin the wheel and then you can clean your chain, and the stand takes all the weight off it. And so you can sit behind the wheel with your brush and your cleaning solutions and, put some cardboard down and you can easily clean the chain. So for that, it's a great tool. For some other things, like for example, another accessory that I recently installed that I think is important to have on a bike are these. These are frame sliders, right? So these are the RNG frame sliders, and the installation of these is not too bad. It's a little scary in the fact that you're removing an engine lug, and you definitely have to be careful with that, and you definitely have to use a torque wrench. And the one thing that you're definitely going to want to do is have the bike on a stand. Some people I've read reviews, put these engine sliders on and they have the bike on the side stand, and then they do the one side and it goes in easy, and then the other side is all twisted up and they're not sure why. And it's kind of, I think it's because the weight of the engine is shifting around a little bit. I mean, these are engine mount bolts that you're taking off. So if you have the bike leaning on one side, one side is probably not going to go in correctly. So if you're doing any sort of if you want to wrench on your own bike and put any accessories on, you're definitely going to want that rear stand so that the weight is evenly distributed, particularly for something like this, like a frame slider. This is a front wheel chuck. I actually made that because when you have the weight off the rear wheel, there's really nothing holding the bike in place. So if the bike is on an incline, it could possibly slip forward. So you want to definitely lock the front wheel down, and that's just something that I made with some leftover wood. So if you're handy at all, nothing too complicated. Just took a measurement on the front tire and just made a little chuck there so that the front wheel doesn't move. So one thing that I don't particularly like on this bike that I ended up replacing was I put these mirror extenders on, and that's sort of a common complaint that I've heard amongst a lot of bikes, not just this bike, is that the rear view mirrors on motorcycles tend to be kind of useless because all you see is your shoulders. And so what's amazing is these little gadgets actually push the mirrors out, a little bit wider than stock, so you can sort of see beyond your shoulders. So it seems kind of like a stupid thing, but it really make a difference, So that might be one accessory that you wanna put on. And then of course, like everybody else, or maybe not, I ended up putting a pipe on. So this is the Akrapovic pipe. There's a lot of different reasons. It's I guess putting a pipe on some of these bikes is kind of a controversial thing. Some guys like sort of raise their eyes at it or whatever. And my feeling is this. I mean, when you get the stock pipe that comes with the CB500, it doesn't look too bad, but it's a big weighty pipe. I mean, it's pretty heavy, and I didn't really think about it too much until I took it off and put this pipe on. This pipe is like feather light. I mean, it's like a carbon fiber pipe. It's a little bit pricey, but the weight difference between the two pipes was amazingly dramatic. I didn't think it was going to be much, but this pipe is so much lighter than the stock pipe. And the other thing that, I think a lot of people like, and that I like too, is that the pipe sounds, phenomenal. So let's say I have the key in here. Let's see if I can start this guy up. I'll put them in neutral. So the pipe, you know, it's just got a nice sound to it. And, you know, the stock pipe just didn't sound that good, you know, and so I don't know if that's important enough or you know, a good enough reason to change the pipe around, but and I think that the performance gain that you may gain from a pipe on this type of bike, like a mid-level bike like this, is probably marginal, if any, you know. But, you know, I do think it makes it look better. I think it makes it sound better, and it does cut the weight dramatically that the stock pipe takes, that puts on the bike. So, you know, I guess there's some points you can make about, you know, putting a pipe on the bike or not. It's kind of a personal preference, I guess. And, you know, I don't know. For me, I wanted to do it, and I thought that, you know, it increased the, you know, attractiveness on the bike in multiple ways, you know, sound and looks. So I would recommend it, you know. There's a lot of different pipes out there. You don't have to get a super expensive one. There's a lot of different models that you can get. One accessory that I think definitely improved the looks of the bike, and one thing that I don't like how, you know, bikes come from the dealership, is I put this Vagabond Fender Eliminator on here, and so it's a little bit dark, but you can kind of see it. I have my plate covered up. If I get around this angle, you might be able to see it a little bit better. It's actually sort of difficult to see because the thing looks so much like an original OEM part. I mean, it really, you know, I'm definitely not a spokesperson for any of these products, but this Vagabond Fender Eliminator is probably, I would say, this and the pipe were the two really best accessories that I put on as far as looking and feeling like OEM parts. I mean, this Vagabond Fender Eliminator and the instructions and the instructional videos that go along with it were so well done. I mean, it fit on the bike perfectly, and it just, there was no hitch in putting this thing on. You know, it took the Honda turn signals and license plate light perfectly, and I just think it cleans up the whole rear end of the bike a lot. I think it makes it look much more, you know, much more refined, much more slick, you know. You know, this bike, if you've ever seen it stock from the dealership, has like a big fender hanging off the back of it, and I never liked it, and I can't recommend this fender elimination kit from Vagabond enough. So if you have a naked sport bike or even a regular sport bike, definitely look into it. It's a really, really nice kit. So yeah, so this is, you know, this is my first video. I guess in summary, what I would say is, you know, take a look at the Honda CB500F. I think it's a really great bike. It's worked out really well for me, and I think for a new rider, it's definitely the way to go. You know, it's an accessible bike. It's a controllable bike. It's comfortable, looks good. You know, it has decent horsepower, and you know, I plan on keeping it for a while until, you know, till I feel like I want to move up to something a little bit more substantial. So thanks again, to all the motorcycle community on YouTube. You've been so helpful in helping me learn and helping me really enjoy motorcycling, and this is just my first attempt to give it back. So safe riding, everybody.